Where are we going? This one? Yes, guys, good morning. Hope we are all doing well. So, this is exciting. I feel like a kid of Christmas, but this is my first day of being back on cardio. So, I'm going to go to the hotel gym now. I'm going to jump on the cross trainer for 20 minutes. This is the setup. I think I'm going to use the cross trainer, to be honest. I don't usually use a cross trainer, like, ever. However, this, I think, is going to be the best bet because, honestly, your girl cannot even stand the bike. So, like I said, this is my first cardio session back for the best part of, like, a long time because I've been forbidden from doing cardio whilst I've been in my, like, sort of maintenance, like, recovery phase because my body just couldn't hack it. Like, my body just could not recover from it. So now I've literally had the green light from my blood work to go ahead with just starting to get the cogs turning with a recomp phase. So nothing drastic. I've only just had like 150 calories, 150, 200 calories pulled from each day. Had cardio added on my rest days just for 20 minutes. And obviously I still have a off-plan meal once a week, which I'll swap out for probably just like one meal, which will be essentially a bigger bolus of food over the weekend. So at the minute, even just this past week, having off-plan meals, being here, I feel like I've actually been getting just that little bit tighter anyway. Body weight was 67.2 this morning. So I think when I was back in the UK, I was sort of averaging like high 67s, low 68s. So that has started to fall. 67.2 is the lowest I've actually seen it for quite some time. And that's even with like off-plan meals in. And the fact that my blood work has just been so much better, I'm just so relieved. It means that my body is likely to be a lot more responsive than it was the last time, but I will fill you in on all the details. So anyway, guys, I'm going to hop on the cross trainer. Also, welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you coming back and to watch me chat shit once more. But I'm going to hop on this and I'm going to get this done because then I also have a walk to do after this as well. Guys, I always take my fitness tracker off as well. When I do cardio, I don't track any steps like that I do on my cardio. So I keep those two totally separate, get my clients to do the same as well. What I will probably do though is use these little metal bits just to make sure that my heart rate is around sort of where I want it to be. And just keeping that consistent then as time goes on. I'm about to dig into meal 3, which is sweet potato, veg and beef. Now, I have been a little bit lazy and I've got the, what's it called? Like the frozen veg, like the, you know, the mixed frozen veg, just because honestly, when I got here, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to standardize that for a little bit. And I probably will move over to like fresh, like broccoli and all of that jazz, but it was just a lot more convenient just to do frozen veg like this. Yes, having carrots and peas is a little bit more carbs. However, now obviously coming into this diet, even before I actually started this, I suppose we'll call it like a mini recomp phase, but even before I started, I'd already had a pretty decent run of just over 7 days, just having this anyways and standardizing that. So just gonna keep this the same for now. One thing that I have really struggled with is actually getting lean minced beef, because even though like I've bought the minced beef that says it's 5%, I fully believe that it's not. You know, in the pan when you cook it, like that much oil coming off of beef that's 5%. There's just no way. So I'm convinced that all the lean minced beef out here is 10%. So what I'm going to do is, again, I've just been standardizing that anyways. I've just been doing my normal same amount and body weight has been stable. If anything, like even before we've made these changes this week, body weight actually started to come down a little bit. So I'm just going to keep this the same. What I might even end up doing is doing like, if I have a 100-gram portion of beef, doing like 50 grams of chicken and 50 grams of beef, because obviously this is a little bit higher in fat and it's going to be a little bit higher in calories. So that's been a struggle. However, we'll work around it. We always work around it. And then with the sweet potato as well, I will say the sweet potato out here is banging. Like it's far superior to the sweet potato that I was getting in the UK. There are certain things out here that are better, and there are other things that just seem to be a little bit like I'm still a bit uncertain on the quality of the meat. I think Mark has a store online where supposedly they do better quality meat, so I'll probably just start buying off of that, but it is probably just going to be a bit more expensive. However, I will say the sweet potato, oh, chef's kiss. You know when it's just like buttery sweet potato? This is literally what it is. So that will go down a treat. Okay, yes guys. Hope we're all doing well, and I am super excited to be giving you this update, because if you've been following along the journey for quite some time now, I know it's been such a slog over the past few months. I don't want to go back and repeat myself over like the process that's been happening for the past like 5 months or so. If you want to know in more detail, if you've just clicked onto this video, then please go back and watch my previous videos, just talking you through like sort of my health, blood work, all of this jazz, because obviously there have been a few things that have been off for quite some time, and that has then meant that I've had to make quite a few adjustments to, you know, putting back training intensity, not training the way that I want to. That has been really frustrating over the past while, but we have been making steady moves in the right direction. I just wanted to give you a bit of an update as to, one, where my physique is at right now, and two, where my blood work is at right now, especially given that you would have seen in the last video, if you've watched it, that I actually had my blood work done last week. So that was amazing, actually. That whole process, like literally 10 minutes, she was in and out, taking my bloods. I booked them on the day and everything. She turned up, was here for 10 minutes, took my bloods, left, and then I got my blood work over the following day, which is ridiculous. If you haven't already guessed, I've had quite a lot of blood work done over the past while. So I had blood work done literally at the start of my cycle, then I had blood work done again around like the second half of my cycle in the luteal phase, because we wanted to check where everything was at both points of my monthly cycle. As females, we're a little bit more complicated than the men. There's a lot more going on, like in terms of fluctuation. So to really get a big picture, ideally you probably want to be getting your blood work done, you know, if you can. I know it's not necessarily cheap, but if you can build that bigger picture by getting your blood work done at certain times of the month, that's going to build, you know, a really good view of where you're at different points in your cycle and what might need to be addressed. Watch that last video if you need a bit more context, but this recent set of bloods just came through, and guys, I am just so relieved because they came back practically perfect. I'm really, really happy with how they came back, and you'll know if you watched the past video, we did put a little bit of HRT in the form of some fem test, very, very low dose, literally expected for it probably not to be enough, to be honest, and that's definitely not being the case. So it goes to show that, again, if you put HRT in on it, in any form, you need to make sure that you get your blood work checked once it's actually had time to like fully saturate and it's like properly in your system, because you don't know how your body's going to respond to that. Everyone's so different. I've even responded differently this time around when I've had this in versus the first time I had it in when I was back competing. So remember that even the same person can have a different response at 2 different points in their life. So just bear that in mind. It is something that you need to keep an eye on. So I've incorporated that as of, I think, 4 weeks ago. So after my last set of blood, like the second set of bloods, I suppose would have been the 4 or 5 weeks ago set of bloods. And a very small amount, that's it. No thyroid, no nothing. Thyroid was already bouncing back a little bit. So that was really good. So that was super positive for me to see anyways, because that was off the back of like having no assistance in, literally just some extra supplementation and obviously lifestyle factors, putting my body in a less stressed state, all of that jazz. But we did notice that my testosterone was a little bit low, so that hence why we've then gone and supplemented with that, because that wasn't really bouncing back. The hormonal side of things wasn't really bouncing back as much as my thyroid was getting better. The hormonal side of things wasn't, so hence why that HRT has gone in. And then recently getting blood work checked this past week to check where I am, like obviously progesterone wise, like towards day 21 and onwards in my cycle, which is essentially the second half of my cycle in my luteal phase, where we should see that elevation of progesterone, and also see where my test is at now, considering that I've actually got some TRT in. So the verdict is, for one, test has practically, you know, quadrupled, to be honest. Hence why I always say a small amount can do a lot for you. And again, we didn't think that it was such a small amount, we didn't even think that it would be enough. But we obviously wanted to play it safe and then build up from there if needed. Let me compare basically back to my bloods all the way back in April, which is the first set of bloods that I did that showed that everything was really like dived. My testosterone has gone from 0.365 to 2.62 with a very small amount of TRT in, which is, you know, that's a big jump. And that is something that now that I'm going into the RECOMP phase, there is a potential for that to actually come down a little bit now. So we'll probably get bloods retested again in 8 to 10 weeks time. And if that doesn't come down, we might actually have to pull down even that small dose of femtest to something even lower, because yeah, that is definitely sat on the higher end of normal, I suppose. So if anything, that is a little bit on the high side. So we might actually have to look to pulling that down a little bit. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. Now, my estradiol, which when I got that tested before, it was low for where I was at in my cycle. So it's, you know, it's two different places, so it's harder to compare, but that's actually in a much better spot. I won't say exact numbers because they're obviously relevant to points in your cycle at which you're at, but that's actually come up to a much better place now, so that's great. Progesterone was 30.75, so that's brilliant as well, so we're not going to need to supplement with any extra progesterone. FSH and LH, again, you'll know that before if you've watched my previous set of bloods, that LH was just a little bit suppressed, and that is still going to be a little bit suppressed just down to the fact that I've got HRT in now, so there will be some slight suppression because of that. Now, here is also where it gets really interesting. T3 and T4 have also come up a good bit over these past few weeks. I think everything is very much connected when it comes to your hormones and your thyroid. So the fact that testosterone has come up has basically brought almost everything up with it. So my T3 back in April was 2.67, and now that's come up to 4.11. And then my T4 has gone from 10.78 all the way up to 18.28, which was honestly more than what I expected, and really, really, really happy with those results, because it's been such a slog over the past while when you're that person that needs to, wants to drive forward towards something, and you can't, like, you want to mentally, but your body just won't do what you want it to do. Like, that is just, it is devastating when that's the case, because you want to do so much, but no matter how much that you try and do, your body will just be like, absolutely fucking not. It feels like you're very out of sync, like your body and your mind is very out of sync. Like, you feel like you're not in your own body. And I know that sounds really weird, but as someone who's competed before and being quite responsive and gotten very lean, to be able to, like, imagine like putting your foot on the gas in the car and then the car not going anywhere. Like, that's literally what it's like. And yeah, you just feel like it's just working against you, and that's really hard. But I'm so glad that I've been patient with this and put the right steps in place when I've needed to get myself to this point, rather than just like throwing the baby out the bathwater like from day one, because essentially, you know, we have the tools to add in things like HRT, but it would have definitely been very early to do that off the back of just getting those initial results and just being like, right, I'm just going to slap a plaster on it and just hope for the best. I'm glad I gave my body that time to sort of recover itself a little bit before then thinking, right, what do I actually truly need? So that I'm just over the moon about. Everything else is pretty much like bang on, and all my other health markers have always been really good. My blood glucose and my HbA1c has been fantastic always. And I think even when I had these bloods done, this wasn't actually done fasted, and my blood glucose was actually basically like what it is fasted, which is pretty good. So that's all fantastic, and this is definitely more than what I was expecting. Like, it's definitely better than what I was expecting. Utilizing that at the moment literally just to try and, I suppose, like rebuild, and this is really aiding. I've noticed a huge upshift with my performance in the gym, for one, and my ability to recover from it. I just have so much more in the tank now. I don't feel so gassed, like literally like 1-2 exercises into my session. I can actually train. I want to train to failure. Like, I feel like I'm physically able to do that now, which is great, because for so long I just felt like such a shadow of my former self, like literally like a wet lettuce, which you'll know I say time and time again, do not train like a wet lettuce, but honestly, that is all I just felt like coming into the gym some days. Like, that is all that I could muster. Even in my recent check-ins, like the past check-in that I did is by far the best that I've looked for quite some time. Like obviously we've just about moved into this recomp phase. I feel like I'm actually kind of gaining some muscle and fullness back from actually training harder and being able to recover better. And my body composition actually looks better. I just can see so much more pop and bubbliness, and just I'm not as like sort of flat anymore. And it's, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, my physique looks a bit more 3D again, rather than just like 2D. It's a really amazing feeling to feel like you're bouncing back in more ways than just one, like physique-wise, within the gym, enjoying training again, mentally, cognitively, and obviously now being here in Dubai for the first, like, it's been, what, just over a week and a half now, and starting to feel a bit more settled into routine, feeling really productive. It's been so hard some days over the past few months. So the fact that this is kind of coming back around now, and I'm still at a place where I've got a decent amount of food. Yes, we're pushing forward a little bit now. I'm eating around like 2,000 calories a day at the moment. Steps are still 10K. Cardio just 20 minutes on a rest day, first thing in the morning. And yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. So I've got no other assistance in other than that bit of TRT, using some L-carnitine like in the morning. But that is literally it at the moment. So I'm really excited to now be able to document this next step like in my process, and I feel like it's a bit more exciting for you guys. It's certainly a lot more exciting for me as well, because I actually feel like I have the capacity to do the things that I want to do again, which is, don't ever take that for granted. Like seriously, don't ever take that for granted. Don't ever take your health for granted. Don't ever take like having a responsive body for granted, because believe me, when you don't have it, it's like, you would give anything for it. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's gonna hold. Still very much pushing towards like growing myself, my physique, my business, building my team of girls and ladies as well. I've had a couple of new starters on the team this past week, which I've set up, and I'm just feeling very, very grateful right now. And of course, I really appreciate you following along with my journey, and thank you so much for watching. If you like the video and you want to see more of them, please like, share, subscribe, and comment if there's anything else you want to see. But until the next time, guys, I'll love you and leave you.